Encounter is brought to you by the Broome County Council of Churches.
Good morning. My name is Joe Sellepack, and I'm your host this morning for the Encounter program. And today we're going to talk a little bit about golf and about the Dick's Open that's coming up, and some of the things that surround that. Every year we have a Christian fellowship breakfast that is sponsored by a group of people. Actually they all come from various churches in the area, and it's called the Christian Fellowship Breakfast. That's what it was known for many years, and then after Johnny Hart died, it was known as the Johnny Hart Memorial Breakfast and Christian Fellowship Breakfast. All of that all together in one great big long sentence, but it's still
hard to say.
Still gets to the same point. And Bobby Hart, I think, is still involved in planning it.
Yes.
Johnny was
very
on
much.
One of the original founders.
It started out as a Father's Day Christian Fellowship Breakfast up at Mountaintop.
Oh yeah.
And then when the Dick's Open came into being here in the area, they decided to have that as a prelude to the tournament on Pro-Am Day. And it got changed from Mountaintop to the Enjoy Golf Course, and it got so big that we had to change that because we couldn't host it under the tent at the Enjoy, so we went to the Clear Temple in Endicott. And that's where it's been for probably the last 10, 12, 15 years that I know of.
So that's at the Clear, and that's the actual venue for the Johnny Hart Memorial Christian Fellowship Breakfast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good.
It started out very, very small, but it's continued, and over the years it's probably been in effect probably 20, 25 years at least, so. And
well, I should take a moment to introduce you. Betty Hidock is our guest today, and she is the chair of the Johnny Hart Memorial Christian Fellowship Breakfast Committee, which is a group of people from various churches in the area that gather together to try to promote and to get people to come out for this.
Yes.
Now, what actually happens at the breakfast? Well, besides eating breakfast, of course.
We have a very good breakfast. And we have a speaker that comes, it's a pro golfer from the tour, and he comes and witnesses, gives us a little bit of background on his history, how he got started in golf, a little bit of history about his Christian beliefs, and how he carries them out on tour. It's very tough to be out on tour sometimes, away from your family, away from, your hometown, and so they have a Bible study group that goes around with them and helps them out, and it's very, very interesting. Every one of their stories are so different, as you would definitely understand. Each personality is different, and they have such interesting stories to tell about how they became golfers, how they got into the golfing, how they became Christians. That's very, very interesting as to how they became Christians. We had a Jewish fellow a few years ago that was a Jew, started out as a Jew, and because of his association with the Christians on tour, became a Christian. And
that's very interesting. Well, I know that there have been a number of those guests that have come on and shared their faith and talked about their journey in faith too. Where are some of the memorable ones? Where are some of the people that you remember most?
Well, the one I just told you about, Morris Satulski.
Yeah.
He was very, very interesting, and people were very amazed. And I know Morris personally, and he's a wonderful, wonderful person and a wonderful Christian. Tommy Lehman. Tommy is a very, very big golfer. He won the British Open. Tommy has very, very interesting stories about his journey into Christianity. He started out with very little background and came into contact with the Christians on tour and became one of the very much devoted Christians, and got him through some personal problems while he was on tour. And he shared that. He shared all that with us. And they're very open. They're very kind and considerate about sharing their life stories. Another one is Fred Funk. Fred Funk, everybody enjoyed Fred Funk. He had a little bit of comedic.
Oh yeah, he was he was funny, right?
A little funny, so, and he gave his story from that perspective. And, you know, each one comes with, some of them are very serious, some of them are very, you know, nonchalant, some of them are very silly and funny, and they each deal with it in their different ways. So that's why it's always so interesting. It's never the same every year, because you never know which story how they're going to present themselves and what they're going to come through with.
I remember a few years ago I went to one of the memorial breakfasts, and the gentleman that was speaking, I can't remember who he was, but he was talking about some of the pressures that you alluded to that some of the guys on tour go through. And he was saying that, you know, when you're away from family and you're away from church, the temptations there are pretty significant. He said, especially, you know, sexual, and there are sexual temptations. He said there are temptations of pride. Pride is a huge thing for him. He went through like a long history.
That might have been Dick Mast.
Yeah, it could have been. And
Dick is, again, he stays at my house.
Oh yeah.
He's a very, very good friend. And yes, Dick was very, very outgoing with the pressures of the tour. Yes, there are a lot of temptations out there, like you said, temptations of sexuality with women that, you know, follow the tour and go after the men, and they're away from their families, they're away from their you know, their homes and their children and everything, and there's drinking
and some of their desires probably enter into it too. I mean, it's not just the women that go after the men, right?
Oh yeah. So it's very hard, and that's why they have this very, very nice each tour, the women's tour, the big tour, the senior tour, even the nationwide tour. They all have chaplains that follow them. And they have yearly or weekly chapel and weekly Bible study, and he's there to counsel them if they are having maybe marital problems or something. They had a big argument before they left home. They need to talk, and he follows the tour. The chaplain follows the tour and helps them out and gets them through these rough times.
Yeah, I would imagine it's very difficult for a family when the husband is on tour for. It must be like 3 or 4 months, longer than that. I mean,
it all depends on how many tours, how many places they play. Sometimes they'll schedule like 5 or 6 weeks in a row, and then take off a couple. You know, it all depends. If they need the money, they play as many as they can, and if they're up on the money tour, sometimes they skip a couple of tours. So it all depends, and it can be very challenging.
Yeah, and so if a question arises up around the kids or around child rearing or, you know, money or whatever, it's tough for them to work it out, wouldn't it be? Because they don't see each other face to face at that moment. Unless, of course, they have enough money that they can get on the airplane and just show up there. But
doesn't happen
not
very often.
Too many people can actually do that, right?
And, you know, they get calls from their wives and their children and stuff, and maybe they're having a good round, and then they get a bad call or something, and, you know, then they go down. But the chaplain is usually always there, and he's very, very, very nice, and he always, you know, can help them out.
So on the one level, I mean, you learn a lot from. It sounds like you learn a lot from the guys who are on tour that come in and speak to you. But on the other hand, I also remember the other thing I remember from that was when the questions would come up, the people in the audience would express appreciation to them, or they would show some support for them in their lives, and so it seemed like there was like this back and forth kind of thing that was going on in the Christian Fellowship Breakfast. It's more than just. Do you get that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also get that with the people that attend. We have special tables for each church, and a lot of times you will see them get up and go and sit with a different group. You know, instead of sitting with the group that they see every week, they'll go and sit with another group from another church, another area. So the fellowship is there both ways.
Yeah.
From the audience to the speaker, for the speaker to the audience, and for the audience to themselves.
Yeah, and it really is a nice feeling there. And I know that in years past you've had quartets that have sung. They've done God Bless America
and How Great Thou Art. Those are our two favorites.
And I guess this year you're not, the quartet wasn't able to get together, but you have something else going on, right?
Yeah, we have a special. Do you think we should tell them?
Well, I think you should probably tell them. It would be a good thing.
We have a bagpiper coming this year, Ed Maloney from the Binghamton Fire Department, and he's going to open up the show with a melody of bagpipe music.
And very good. And so this let's let them see the poster again.
Okay.
We want to make sure that everybody comes out to this. This is being held on August 16th, right?
Thursday, August 16th.
And how much is it?
It's $10. $10. You get the free breakfast, which is very, very good. French toast, eggs, sausage, Danish, coffee, juice, fruit. Then you have free parking. You don't have to pay for the parking. We have free shuttle over to the course. That'll take you over there, and free admission to the course, all for $10.
All for $10.
I think it's the best bet in the country.
Well, I mean, it probably costs almost as much for just the ticket.
Just the ticket.
Yeah, but this will get you breakfast.
Breakfast. Well, yeah.
And a good speaker too.
And a very good speaker. We have Chip Beck this year, and he is a very, very devout Christian. Chip has been on tour from 1978. Chip has played in 3 Ryder Cups. He is one of only, I think, 4 players that have ever scored 59 on tour. He is only one of 2 players that have ever scored a hole-in-one on a par 4. And he's just an altogether sweet, lovable person. He comes from a large family of 7. He grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. He actually was born in Fayetteville, but grew up in New Orleans. And he's won the New Orleans tournament twice, so he's proud of that. And I'm sure he's going to be very, very dynamic in his speech.
And just so that everybody knows, again, I mean, this is meant to be the Christians coming together.
Yes.
And it's for us to be able to fellowship with one another so that we can understand each other's faith.
Yes.
That's the important part. The secondary part is this golf piece. But the golf piece is huge for some people, isn't it?
Yes. You either come for one or the other, I guess. And there's a few of us that come for both. But, you know,